Hello and welcome to Friday Live. I'm your host, Strata lawyer Amanda Farmer. This week I am coming to you live from Cairns, here enjoying the SCA Victoria Principals Retreat. Enjoying it, I am. Facilitating it, I am. It is my pleasure to be here spending time with some pretty cool professionals from Victoria. Haven't had the chance to hang out with them before. There's even a couple of faces I'm putting to names that I've seen dropping by here on our page. So that has been pretty exciting. This is an opportunity for the owners of strata management companies, the owners of companies that serve owners corporations in Victoria to get together, take some time out of the business, do some deep learning, work on some strategy, focus on the future of their businesses. And I have been honoured to be invited by SCA Vic to facilitate the 2-day retreat. So that's why I'm here in Cairns, Queensland. It's funny, I was in Cairns in 2014 and then didn't come back for about 10 years. And now I've been to Cairns 3 times in the last 6 months. It's been the place to go on my schedule. So I will be here until the weekend. And then I jump on over to Brisbane, where we will be having our annual Australian College of Strata Lawyers conference. So about 10 days of back-to-back conferencing, strata conferencing from me. The brain is full. The fire hose has been switched on. There's lots and lots of learning going in, and that's going to continue for the next week, that's for sure. And off to dinner tonight to celebrate a day of productivity. So I'm looking forward to that. But couldn't go without dropping on by, saying hello to you all, and giving you a little update on what's been happening in Strata land, especially because New South Wales government announced this week the start date for some of our reforms that we have known are on the horizon for some time now. We've been talking about the legislation when it was in draft, then when that legislation was made. We haven't been sure exactly of the commencement date, but we're now told that a large chunk of that legislation is going to start on the 1st of July. So I wanted to take the opportunity to drop in and walk you through some of those key points at a reasonably high level at this stage to make sure that you as strata managers are aware of these changes, committee members in particular. There's a few changes coming your way and you'll want to be aware of what those are, and our owners. Now, not all of the reforms that we have been waiting for, that we have been talking about here for a while, are starting on the 1st of July. We've got a chunk starting on the 1st, and we're told that later in 2025, the rest of those reforms will commence. So I'm going to let you know what the difference is and which reforms are in the start soon camp and which are in the start later. Lovely to see so many of you here live. Thank you, Suzanne. I see that comment. That's very kind. Hey, Nathan, to you and the Strata family on your side as well. Sean M is already across what some of these reforms are. And it's so important, yes, because Sean, you're right. Some AGM agendas will need to include new motions. So that's why government has given a little bit of time, not much, it's June, isn't it? A little bit of time to get on top of these. Maybe could have done with a little bit more, but we've got what we've got. So another reason why I wanted to get in reasonably quick to update you. I'm seeing Ronald's name there. Hey, Ronald, how you doing? Great to have you here. I see the rest of you there as well. I'm not going to run through all of those at this stage, so I want to get on into our chat. First of all, swing around and give a nod to this week's podcast episode number 453. Oh, you really liked this one. Had lots of comments on this, have had people coming up to me here in Cairns letting me know that they enjoyed this week's podcast episode. What is it about? The 5 reasons why you might want to rethink going to the tribunal, whether that's NCAT, VCAT, QCAT, ACAT, sat, whatever you call the tribunal in your jurisdiction. As a lawyer practicing in this space for more than 20 years now, I feel that I've got a pretty good grasp on why you might want to stay away from the tribunal. And I'm delivering those 5 reasons, or 5 of those top reasons, in this week's podcast episode. And I've heard from so many of you. You've commented on the page, you've commented under the podcast episode on the website, you've been in my inbox saying, Amanda, yes, I so resonate with this. I've had strata managers saying, yep, this is why I tell my clients, you don't want to be going to the tribunal. And I've had owners saying, oh, I wish I'd thought about this before I commenced my proceedings. So I'm really glad that that has been helpful to you. I have seen a comment, I'm not sure if it was on the page or it was just in my inbox, from somebody saying, oh, I'm looking forward to next week's podcast episode. I did tease that one at the end of this week. This week, all about the 5 reasons why you want to stay away from litigation. Next week, I'm going to be delivering 5 reasons why you really do need to go to the tribunal. There are some cases, I'm going to say rare cases, it is the minority of cases, the minority of clients, people who come to see me, that I will be saying to them, yep, you got to take this one to the next level, or ultimately we end up having to go to that next level of commencing tribunal proceedings. Indeed, if you are a defendant to tribunal proceedings, you don't have a choice. You are going to have to, if you want to have a say, turn up and respond to those proceedings. But there are some limited scenarios where it's a good idea. It may be your only option to be going to the tribunal. I am going to be talking about that in the podcast next week. So enjoy that one when it comes on around. And all of this talk of NCAT, litigation, tribunal proceedings means that it is absolutely great timing to be delivering my always popular free training on how to navigate NCAT end to end without expensive legal fees, even if you've lost faith in the system. Yes, I will be delivering the Strategic Strata Litigator webinar, we call it. Some of you may have caught this one in the past. The Strategic Strata Litigator webinar is going to be happening again live on Thursday, the 19th of June. That is just under 2 weeks away. We will kick off at midday on Thursday, the 19th of June. You want to get that one in the diaries. I have just opened up registrations for that one. It is free to attend this webinar training, but you do need to be registered to get your unique Zoom access link to be able to get onto that one. So Team Rochelle is going to pop the registration link here into the comments. Thank you, Rochelle. Feel free to head on over and register for that free training on Thursday, the 19th of June, midday Sydney time. I am going to talk about the steps that I recommend you take to craft a winning application, a winning tribunal application. Why is it that some owners can get their case across the line and others come to me after a loss in the tribunal saying, Amanda, should I appeal this? How did this all go so wrong? How to avoid that kind of situation if you are going to be heading into tribunal proceedings. And some of you have been posting here on the page in response to my question sent out earlier this week. What do you want me to cover? I always want to deliver what it is that helps you. What do you want me to cover? You can head over and answer that question further down the page. Let me know what you want to know about tribunal litigation. I'm going to be focusing specifically on the procedures and my experience in the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal. That's what we're referring to when we talk about NCAT. But if you're in a different jurisdiction, you will absolutely get a whole lot of value from that webinar as well. So don't hesitate to join us Thursday, the 19th of June, 2025, midday Sydney time, online with me. Register at yourstrataproperty.com.au/webinar. That is the place to go. Link here in the comments for you. The other item that I have on my agenda before we jump into a review of the reforms that are commencing in New South Wales on the 1st of July. You may recall that a strata manager in New South Wales recently lost their license. Their company lost its license and was banned for life. There was a little bit of media about that. Michael Lee and Result. I'm going to get this right. I will come back around to make sure that I say the right company name. Result Strata Management. Each lost their licenses. And what we heard this week was that there was an application made by both Michael Lee and Result Strata Management to the tribunal seeking a stay of that decision, which had been made by the Commissioner for Fair Trading. And the Commissioner for Fair Trading announced on LinkedIn this week that that application for a stay was not successful. So many saw that as a very good result. We've had a different result after a similar application this time last year from another strata management company that lost their license. So it was a relief for many that that application for a stay sought by Michael Lee and Result Strata Management was not successful. And we do have reasons for decision given by the tribunal, why the tribunal made its decision not to grant that stay and why the licenses will remain cancelled. And it included reference to the number and the seriousness of the charges that were brought against Mr. Lee and Result Strata Management and the concerns that exist for public safety if Mr. Lee is allowed to manage buildings once again, even for a short period of time. So taking into account those things, the tribunal member concluded that those matters outweigh the interests of Mr. Lee and the business of Result Strata Management. On my count, there were around about 32 or more breaches of the law that are listed in that written decision. Pretty significant, and that is part of the reason, indeed, that the tribunal has decided the cancellation of those licenses is going to remain in place for the time being. So buildings unable to be managed by Michael Lee and Result Strata Management. You can check out the case and the reasons for decision through Case Law New South Wales. We've got that link that is going to be popped into the comments here for you if you're interested in following that case. Now going to move in to our overview of the reforms that are starting on the 1st of July here in New South Wales. I am going to share my screen with you. And also, if you want to follow along at home, we have the link to this page that I'm now going to be sharing, which I think is pretty good. I was looking at this earlier. It's a pretty good summary and fairly straightforward, easy to read summary of these changes. And I suggest that if you are looking at this for the first time, this is absolutely the place to start. Guide to 2025 strata law changes in New South Wales. Current law changes for all New South Wales strata schemes are being rolled out in stages, with the first of these changes starting on the 1st of July, 2025. We have reforms to laws to include new and changing requirements to better meet the needs of people in strata. We need to start preparing. This is the message. We need to start preparing, and we need to start preparing pretty quickly because it's now the 6th, is it today? 6th of June, and this is all happening on the 1st of July. I saw a comment there, Sean O, I think. Did you comment that the last time there were changes, you didn't get much notice? Sean M, rather, it was. Let me check. Sean M In December 2023, when the law commenced about extended notice periods for AGMs, you barely had any time to prepare. Yeah, it's kind of a similar position for you now, strata managers. So let's get onto it. When do the new laws start? These new laws are being delivered in stages. The first tranche starting on the 1st of July 2025. Next will start late 2025. So no hard and fast dates there, late 2025. Who needs to know about these changes? All New South Wales strata schemes and also community schemes these changes are applying to. I will get into what the changes are, so I'm just going to skip over that little summary there. The changes also impact you if you're a strata manager, developer entering into contracts with strata schemes if you supply goods and services, for example, building management, cleaning and gardening. If you're renting a strata property and if you're requesting an assistance animal, these changes are going to be relevant to you, and they're absolutely relevant to owners and to committee members. Okay, I'm going to scroll on down to this pretty good, I've said, summary of what the changes are that are starting on the 1st of July and speak to each of these a little bit more. Minor renovations are going to be automatically approved if no refusal reasons are given. Now, this is something that I've heard owners coming to me, I've been complaining about for quite some time. I've asked for approval for my new kitchen. That's considered a minor renovation in New South Wales. I need either an ordinary resolution at a general meeting, or if the Strata Committee is authorised to approve minor renovations under the bylaws, I need approval from the Strata Committee. Put my application in months and months ago, haven't got a response. That is not good enough. Well, the law is now changing. This is one of the changes that starts on the 1st of July. To refuse an owner's request for a minor renovation, the Strata Committee will need to provide the reasons in writing within 3 months of receiving the request. And if they fail to do this, the minor renovation is automatically approved. Now, note that this only applies if there is a bylaw that allows the Strata Committee to decide on minor renovation requests. So you might have just heard me say that a moment ago. Minor renovations requests go to the general meeting to be approved by ordinary resolution. That's majority rules. But if you have a bylaw in place that empowers the committee to make those decisions, and the committee can no longer drag its feet on that. If committee hasn't said anything within 3 months of the application being made, then the renovation is deemed approved. So committees better be on top of this change and keeping track of those renovation requests. Strata managers, indeed, be careful not to be sitting on these requests. Get them out to your committees and be reminding them of this 3-month time period. Otherwise, the renovation is automatically approved. Kind of seems like a long time period, but I know certainly in the committee where I'm a member, we might only be having meetings every 8 weeks or so. I can see how this time period will pass quickly, and indeed can be overlooked. So Robin saying a bit of a worry when the committee is one person. I would have thought, Robin, that's a very efficient committee. I wonder, is that committee you? Are you the committee of one? If the request is coming through to you to be able to say yay or nay pretty quickly, I think it might be our larger committees that have trouble making prompt decisions. I think this is a good change. I like this change. I think it's a good change. I'm looking forward to that one coming into effect. Encouraging the uptake of sustainability. So some schemes have bylaws that ban sustainability infrastructure to be installed if it impacts the external appearance of the common property or the owner's property. What are we talking about when we talk about sustainability infrastructure? So these are installations, changes, alterations that help a building to improve its energy efficiency, to be more environmentally friendly. We're talking about things like solar panels, EV charging, LED lights, generally improvements that are sustainable improvements. At the moment, those improvements can be made with approval. That approval is essentially a form of ordinary resolution at a general meeting. We call it a sustainability infrastructure resolution. That law came into effect in about 2021 to make it easier to get sustainability infrastructure approved. But what we have been seeing a little bit of since then is buildings trying to find other ways, perhaps to prevent the installation of things like solar panels that may impact the external appearance of the building, putting in place bylaws saying that that kind of installation cannot happen. This new law to commence 1st of July, a bylaw that bans sustainability infrastructure on the grounds that it impacts the external appearance of the common property. Those types of bylaws will be banned unless the building is heritage listed or in a heritage conservation area. So that's good to know. If you're in a building or managers are managing a building that might have one of these bylaws, be giving the committee a heads up that that one is on the way out. And this is what I think the Shawns have been posting about in the chat here on Facebook. The Owners Corporation will need to consider sustainability at each AGM. An item must be included on the AGM agenda to consider environmental sustainability within the scheme, including consideration of the common property annual energy and water consumption and expenditure. How's that, hey? So we're going to have to be prepared with that information now to go onto AGM agendas. Love your tech brain, Sean. Yeah, so I call that an ordinary resolution, calculated on a unit entitlement basis. That's the correct way, isn't it? The correct way to explain it. Our sustainability infrastructure resolution. So going back up to this question of issuing AGM notices with this sustainability discussion on it. Sean's saying if you issue a notice by post today, it's too late. Earliest AGM you can hold is the 3rd of July, must include new sustainability discussion. So yeah, Sean, I'm not sure if there are going to be some transitional provisions that protect you from being in breach of this. I know there is a regulation that is under consultation, I believe, at the moment. So the details of timing and when we have to start including these motions may be in that detail in the transitional provisions or in the regulations. So that's a good question. That's why I wanted to be here today to highlight these and hear what your questions are. Let's see if we can get some clarity on exactly which meetings. If we're having a meeting on the 3rd of July, does it need to have this motion on the agenda? Let's have a look at that and see if we can clarify that one. So Chu's saying, if you already have sustainability facilities, what else is there to talk about? So yes, apparently you're supposed to be talking about your annual energy and water consumption and expenditure. And you might have facilities that need improving or that need upgrading or that need replacement. Or if you have solar panels, are you going to be thinking about EV charging? So I think it's can be quite general depending on the nature of your building and what it is that your building has or hasn't done. There's still plenty of buildings out there that haven't even turned their mind to sustainability infrastructure. So encouraging those buildings to do that is, I think, a good idea. Alrighty, so you've got to consider the costs for sustainability infrastructure as well, including costs for any replacement or repair. So there it is there, Chu. If you've got some infrastructure there, be considering whether that might be needing replacement or repair in the future and what that might cost. So this is what I really like about this summary. So what do strata schemes need to do? Review your bylaws and update them to make sure that we're not banning sustainability infrastructure just because it affects the external appearance of the building. Make sure your secretary or your strata manager includes on your AGM agenda an item to consider sustainability in the scheme. And we're going to have to be considering sustainability as part of preparing that capital works fund estimates each year. Okay, protecting schemes from unfair contract terms. Some of you may not be surprised. This is one of my most favorited amendments coming in 1st of July. Unfair contract terms will be banned in standard form contracts for the supply of goods or services to an owners corporation. So we talked a lot about this in around, towards the end of last year and earlier this year, a number of the members inside our online community had qualified for my review, my personal review of their strata management contract being a standard form contract. I offered to review those strata management contracts and to identify any terms that I thought would be classified as unfair terms once this legislation commenced. So what's actually happening is that the fair trading legislation is being amended to make very clear that owners corporations and community associations are consumers for the purpose of the Australian consumer law. So the Australian consumer law applies to our owners corporations and our community associations. I think it probably always did, but we're now making that very clear in New South Wales. And that means that as consumers entering into any kind of standard form contract, and there's a good list here, Strata, these are contracts that are put out on a take it or leave it basis. These are our terms. These are the terms that we apply to everyone we work with. Strata management contracts are like that. Building management contracts, maybe some cleaning or gardening contracts. Those are examples of standard form contracts. They must not have unfair terms in it. What are unfair terms? An unfair term is one that will cause a significant imbalance in the party's rights or obligations. For example, one party can terminate, but the other party can't in a similar circumstance. So unilateral termination may be an unfair term. It's not a term that's reasonably necessary to protect the interests of the party that's benefiting, or it will cause a financial or other loss to a party. So a few more examples there about unfair terms. When I looked at standard form strata management contracts earlier this year, I was pulling out terms that limited the agent's liability to a fixed amount. I said that was an unfair term. Terms that allowed for the management fee to increase unilaterally by the manager if an insurance commission wasn't received. And even in some management contracts, terms that allowed the manager to terminate in particular circumstances that were not reciprocal for the owners corporation to be able to terminate. So, for example, where the owners corporation does not provide instructions, or the owners corporation does not do what it's supposed to do under the contract, the manager can terminate, but there wasn't a reciprocal clause saying that if the strata manager does not perform its functions and its services, if the strata manager does not perform under the contract, then the owners corporation can terminate. So without that fairness on both sides, I thought that was an unfair term. So our members who received that guidance will have that summary. So this is the law that is now starting on the 1st of July. If you think a term is unfair, Fair Trading here is telling you to try and resolve the issue first with the business. I'm just going to click on that link just out of sheer curiosity. Where does this take us? What you can do if you think a contract term is unfair. I don't think you'll be able to see the page that I've just gone to, but there is reference, if you want to click through there, to the ACCC, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, and ASIC can give you general information on the way that unfair contract terms work. And you can also lodge complaints with New South Wales Fair Trading and the ACCC. So this is a change that both strata managers and committees who are looking at strata management contracts need to be across. I know that the SCAs in respective states have been reviewing their template strata management agreements in preparation for this legislation, particularly in New South Wales, for this legislation to commence, and to they've been receiving their legal advice to make sure that their template contracts do not contain unfair terms. We will see how this plays out. Jen saying, that was super helpful for us. Our strata management company sent me a new contract with all of your points addressed. Oh, I love that, Jen. I love that. So Jen is one of our members who received my summary guidance on what terms in her strata management contract may be unfair. Just pass those on to the strata manager, as I know many of you did. I heard from a few managers saying, Amanda, got your dot points, and love that the strata manager just made those changes. Look, you don't ask, you don't get. And now you've got the law backing you up as well from the 1st of July, being able to say having a term like that in this contract is a breach of the Australian consumer law. Hey, Nathan, very kind of you saying love the podcast. Okay. Heading back to more of these changes, and please do dig deeper on these. I've shared the link to this fair trading summary that I'm looking at right now. So you can, I'm not going to read every word, but you can go and have a closer look at those items that you feel are relevant to you. Making it easier to install accessibility infrastructure in schemes. It will be easier for an owner or the owners corporation to make changes to the common property to enable a person with a disability to have access to their property or common property. Instead of a special resolution, we just need a majority vote. So very similar then to the changes, made to increase the uptake of sustainability infrastructure, lowering that voting threshold to a majority. Accessibility infrastructure being a new term now being introduced to our law. So bear that in mind. Strata managers, committees, owners, perhaps who may need these kinds of additions made to the common property to make sure that they can access their homes, we have that lower voting threshold. Okay, I think this is a big ticket item. New duties for strata committees and the chairperson. These duties are now going to be enshrined in the legislation. Now, as a lawyer, I'm going to say that our committee members have always had these duties. Committee members have fiduciary duties. They have to act in good faith. They have to act in the best interests of the owners corporation. But the legislation is now going to set this out specifically. Committee members must behave honestly and fairly when carrying out their role. They must not behave in a way that would unreasonably affect another person's use or enjoyment of their property or the common property. I mean, that's the nuisance provision, right? If you know the legislation, New South Wales legislation, Queensland, I believe, is the same. It's nuisance provision. A person, while on the common property or while on their lot, indeed, as well, must not behave in these ways. Extra obligation here if you're a committee member. You've got to be especially well behaved if you're a committee member. You have to comply with your obligations under the law. You would have thought that went without saying, but we're popping it in there anyway. And only use or disclose information you receive as a committee member, including information about an owner, if you are allowed to under the law or need to as part of carrying out your role. I know what you're going to ask me. You're going to ask me about books and records and inspection of books and records. Certainly disclosing records that the owners corporation holds as part of a strata search, a request to inspect records on the part of an owner or a representative of an owner who wants to inspect records. That's the law. That is one of those you're allowed to, under the law, disclose that information. You guys let me know. Is this a thing? Is this a concern that committee members have been sharing personal information when they shouldn't be sharing personal information outside of legal strata searches? I'm not sure, but we now are going to have that obligation made clear in our legislation. Few new duties for the chairperson. Chairperson's role is getting beefed up a bit there, and the chairperson's role has always been fairly straightforward. Chair meetings of the owners corporation. Now the chair should follow the agenda at meetings, maintain order at meetings, and encourage owners to discuss items on the agenda in a fair, constructive, and open manner. I like that. I have a resource that I have shared for many years now called Chairperson's Housekeeping and Chairperson's Points of Order. And it includes things exactly like that, where a chair might want to set some terms, some housekeeping rules, some conduct rules at the beginning of a meeting. I don't think it's a bad thing to be popping that into our legislation as well. So strata committee members, be aware that you have these, I'm not so much sure that they're new duties, but that you have these duties. They are now set out clearly in the legislation, and it may be easier now for other owners to point to these duties and to be able to say a committee member is not meeting these specific duties. And that's the reason why we are proposing a motion to remove them from their position. And it may ultimately become easier to have badly behaved committee members removed from their positions because they're clearly not meeting these new duties that are set out in the legislation. So that's a significant change happening from the 1st of July, improving repairs and maintenance. So this, just in summary, covers a situation where right now an owner's corporation does not have to repair and maintain its common property if it is in the process of pursuing someone else for that damage. So that's what this description here says. If an owner or other person has damaged the common property and the owner's corporation has taken legal action against them, the owner's corporation can no longer delay making repairs to the common property if a delay would affect a person's access or use of the common property or a lot. So right now, we can delay. From the 1st of July, won't be able to delay. So there's an owner has done something that's caused a crack in the stairs. They've ridden into it with their motorbike, is this example. So the owner's corporation then sues that owner. The owner's corporation has to, in the meantime, go ahead and get that repair done because that is a safety issue. Another big important change in this context of repairs and maintenance is that an owner now has 6 years to bring any damages claims against the owner's corporation. That is up from 2 years. So this is one that a lot of you have been asking me about. When is this change happening? It is 2 years has always been a very short time period for owners to make their damages claims. That it's a time period that can often get missed if owners are not legally represented. 6 years, I think, is a good change. It's a good change and a nice middle ground between too long and too short. So lot owners who are suffering lost rent or having to pay temporary accommodation costs or are out of pocket because there has been some failure by the owner's corporation to properly repair or maintain the common property, you've got 6 years from the date you first became aware of that loss to make your claim against the owner's corporation. That law starting from the 1st of July. Okay. Nathan saying, I find it fascinating that Strata has so much legislation regarding code of ethics, duties, guidelines. Most industries don't have these types of legislations. Yeah. We're kind of learning as we go along here, Nathan. These reforms, particularly in New South Wales over the last 12 to 18 months, have all come from a crisis, a real crisis in the way that some of our buildings were being managed, in the way that some strata managers were conducting themselves. We had new legislation that started in February, which goes to the conduct of strata managers and trying to improve that. I don't think it is without a reason. And when we think about the number of people now in this country, and certainly in New South Wales, in this state, who are living in strata, who are owning strata properties, we've got a huge amount of people and more to come as we build more strata properties. So I think focusing on these changes, reform for the sake of reform is never a good idea, but I definitely think a lot of this is necessary. Okay. So that's what's changing in terms of repair and maintenance. There's a few other things there on that list, but I'm going to press on and encourage you to go back and review that one so that you're across what those changes are. Supporting residents with assistance animals. A resident, whether they're a tenant or an owner, only needs to provide one form of evidence about their assistance animal if requested. So I've spoken about this one before. At the moment, the legislation is a little bit unclear about how much evidence needs to be provided or how much evidence an owner's corporation can ask for if a resident is put to proof about their assistance animal. And we're hearing that some buildings have quite onerous bylaws about this that require a long list of things to be done and to be proven before an assistance animal is considered an assistance animal. Now it's clear that only one form of evidence need be provided, and that list has been expanded. So you can see the list there. I won't read it all out. But I mean, importantly, an evidence from a health practitioner who holds a general or specialist registration, so a doctor, I imagine, who is able to sign a letter to say this is an assistance animal. Sounds like that's going to be enough. If the doctor says this animal qualifies, then that is the information that can be provided to the owners corporation. Interesting change. Hopefully making it easier for those who do need this assistance to be able to get it in their homes. Increasing record inspection fees. This is a big one for strata managers to be across. We are essentially doubling these fees. This is the legal fee, the statutory fee that can be charged to an owner for inspection of an owner's corporation's books and records. Used to be $31 plus GST for the first hour, now going up to $60. I said plus GST. This says including GST. I don't think that's right, because the $31 figure is excluding GST, because it's $34.10. So I don't know if the $60 is including, but currently it's $31 excluding. I know one of our strata nerds here, you know who you are, will go and check that one out for me and let me know. But that is an important one for our strata managers to get right. So update your fees for those requesting access to records, except for owners. The increase will not apply to existing owners within the scheme. Gosh, that's confusing. I didn't pick that up earlier. Did you guys pick that up? The fees for inspecting strata records will increase from the 1st of July. The increase will not apply to existing owners within the scheme. Strata committees or their strata manager must update their fees for people other than owners requesting access. Oh, yes, I remember this now. I called this, the last time I looked at it, I called it the lawyer tax. This is for those who are not owners who are inspecting records. We are going to have to pay double. Okay, not so sure about the logic around that one, but if you are an agent, if you are someone who is authorized by an owner to go and inspect the records, then for you the fee is double. How are you going to police that? I don't know how you're going to police that, because I have a number of clients who will fill in that online form that's on the strata manager's website and get a date and time to inspect the records. On that date and time, they will get a link that is sent to their inbox. They will very often forward that link to me and instruct me to log in and inspect the records. I am their authorized person inspecting the records. I imagine that's still technically going to be possible, but legally, if it's not the owner inspecting the records, the person inspecting needs to pay double the fee. That's so weird, says Sean. Yeah, I feel like it's a bit weird. Chris is saying the state fee is GST exclusive. GST registered buildings charge the GST on top. Yeah, good point. Good point, Christopher. I think I must be mostly dealing with GST registered buildings. If you're not registered, that still means that those words are wrong, though, I think. Fees including GST. Okay, no need to debate the technicalities right here now. Shana's saying, Amanda, does this mean your keeping an assistance animal bylaw still stands, and does it need to be amended? So Shana's referring to the template keeping of animals bylaw that we have on our website, and that's available for free to our members. So from memory, Shana, that bylaw is about keeping of animals generally, and has a clause in there to say that it doesn't apply to the keeping of assistance animals, because assistance animals are generally permitted. I will go and review that one, Shana, and make sure that nothing needs to change in that respect. And I'll just ask Rochelle to give us, to pop a reminder in our list there for that one to be renewed. Thanks, Deb, for picking up about that records fee is just for non-owners. You are correct. Okay. Pamela saying, otherwise, wouldn't you pass that fee on? So Pamela, Me as a lawyer, yeah, I don't pay the fee. My owner pays the fee, or rather my client pays the fee. Um, and the fee is payable to the owner's corporation. So strata managers certainly shouldn't be pocketing the fee. The fee is by law payable to the owner's corporation. I've had this discussion, debate, I won't say argument, with a strata manager or two in the past when they asked me to pay the fee directly to them. No, the fee is payable to the owner's corporation. And yeah, not really sure of the logic around doubling that fee for those who are not owners. And Sean's saying, yeah, what about online access? Yeah, indeed. Okay, so a few other changes there in this list. I'm not going to go through those here with you. You've got the link, you know where to go. Some of those may be relevant to your buildings, others may not. One thing that I do want to scroll down to is just to point out a couple of things that are not starting on the 1st of July, because I know that you're thinking about them. We are told that these changes will start later. I think the term was late in 2025. I'm going to skip here to improving governance. This is the training for Strata committee members. So I know you're hanging out for this one. I'm hanging out for this one as well. When is the mandatory training for Strata committee members going to start? Not on the 1st of July. That is hopefully going to be from later in 2025. And all of these rules about payment plans and more information that needs to go on levy notices and whether you can charge debt recovery costs back to owners, that none of that is starting yet either. That is also slated for later this year. A few more things there that won't be starting until later in the year, but I really do think this is a great summary page for all of you, all of us, to be looking at as I know your questions come through, and I love seeing these questions here on the page, because as I share this, it is you who are telling me what is important to you, what you are confused by, what you need more information about, and the more we talk about it out loud, the more we know what we don't know and the questions that we need to answer. And I will be reading through those comments and getting that additional information and that deeper understanding of these changes so I can be here to support you. So if you have a question about anything in particular that I have shared today about those changes, particularly those starting on the 1st of July, if you've had a listen here, you've gone and had a look at that site, and you have questions and you want me to have a closer look at the legislation, then feel free to pop a comment in here. I'll come back around and collect those ones. Jennifer saying, I'm almost working full-time on my committee, so much to learn when no one else is interested. Yeah, it is constant. It's pretty constant at the moment, Jennifer. Check in with your strata managers as well. You have in a building that has a strata manager, all the strata managers in New South Wales are talking about this one, getting ready for it, going to webinars, tuning in to people like me who are talking about these changes. They should be across this. Your strata managers should be across this and able to share with you their own summaries, their own guidance, their own resources that they're accessing as well. So don't hesitate to reach out to them. And if you are a strata manager, great opportunity here. I've been talking about this today as I'm here in Cairns facilitating a principals retreat for SCA Victoria. Lots of strata managers in the room. I keep saying the words. What is your value proposition? What is your point of difference? What is that unique value that you are bringing to the table for your clients? If you're in New South Wales, and I know there's reform coming up in Victoria at the end of the year as well, this is your opportunity. This is your time to shine. Show your value. Go and have a read of those changes, summarize those, get some communications out to your owners, to your buildings, letting them know what you're doing to prepare for this, to help prepare them, and to make sure that you are all compliant. All right, that's a lot of talking for me today after a long day of talking. I am going to wrap up there. Keep those questions coming. We do collate those and make sure that we can continue to have discussions, cover topics, answer questions that are relevant to you. And I would so love to see as many of you as possible on my live training. the Strategic Strata Litigator, How to Navigate NCAT end to end without expensive legal fees, even if you've lost faith in the system. That's happening on Thursday, the 19th of June from midday Sydney time. We will be online for about 90 minutes. Also, on Thursday, the 19th, you can register to attend the webinar over at yourstrataproperty.com.au/webinar. Can't wait to see lots of you there. We're going to keep talking about the tribunal on the podcast next week as well. Have a fantastic weekend in Strata. Thank you, Nathan. I will continue to enjoy my time here in Cairns. Getting a little bit dark out there. We're going to get ready to head off to dinner. And I look forward to catching up with you all again soon. Bye for now.